Hello everyone, it's Hannah here from Virtually Fluent. Welcome to today's grammar video where we are going back to basics with tenses in English. We're going to look at the correct form, use and structure of one of the 12 English tenses. It's not the easiest, it's the past perfect continuous tense. So let's get started with this tense in English. So the past perfect continuous tense has a really great structure in English, and it's always used, very importantly, with two events in the past. We can only use this to express two events happening, both finished and both in the past. The past perfect continuous tense itself is used with the first event on the timeline, so the most past event, and the second event tends to be used with the past simple. So you see this really nice structure between the past perfect continuous and the past simple, like a lovely couple together. Another important thing is that the relationship between these two events can also be a cause and effect relationship. We'll have a look at lots of examples now with timelines to hopefully make it a little bit clearer for you. For example, I had been learning English for 3 years before I took my exam. In this particular example, we are expressing that the first event, had been learning English, happened for a long period of time, 3 years, and then the second event happened, I took the English exam. Now it's really important here that the first event happens right up until the second event takes over, and that's the difference between past perfect and past perfect continuous. We're expressing a long period of time and the second event basically crosses over with the first event. I was learning English, and then I immediately took my exam. 3 years later. It would be exactly the same case with this sentence. We had been working with that company for a few months when they then closed down. The same with this sentence. They had been watching a film before I arrived at their home. And as I mentioned, sometimes we have that cause and effect situation between the two parts of the sentence. For example, we were tired because we had been studying all day. It is important to note here, you can flip, like the past perfect, you can flip the two parts of the sentence because the tense, past perfect continuous, tells me already that that event happened first in the timeline. The same here, she didn't understand because she hadn't been going to her class. So let's double check the structure of this past perfect continuous tense. We're going to take the example verb to talk. So we have our classic 7 personal pronouns here, and you can see it's the same for every subject, which is great, nice and easy in English. So we say had been for all of the tenses, and then afterwards we want our present participle, which is basically the words ending in ing. If you would just like to double check the present participle spelling rules, we do also have a video on our YouTube channel. I will add the link to the description below. And just like any tense in English, we can also contract this. So we would contract the had part with our subject. I'd been and present participle. You'd been talking, we'd been talking, they'd been talking. In the negative form, we want to add the word not. It's a bit like a sandwich because the not goes in between the had and the been part. I had not been talking. And again, we can contract our negative form. This becomes hadn't. I hadn't been talking. We hadn't been talking. As a question, all we do is take that first auxiliary had and flip it with our subject. Had I been talking? And if you would like to add a question word, that must be the first word in your sentence. So, why had we been talking? Where had she been talking? When we have asked a question, we can respond with nice long answers or with short responses. Short responses are great for nice, easy, simple conversation. And we only want one verb in our short responses. In this tense, it's the verb had. Yes, I had. Had he been talking? Yes, he had. Really important, we cannot contract short responses, so we still want the full verb here. With no, it's exactly the same, just in negative. No, I had not. And this one you can contract, so no, I hadn't. And that's it for the past perfect continuous tense. A really useful tense for adding structure to your sentences, making it really easy to understand when you're telling a past story, which event happened first and which event happened second. If you learned something new in today's video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, a like. You can also follow us across all of our social media channels. All the links to those are in the description below. You should also subscribe to our Virtually Fluent YouTube channel and turn notifications on so you can watch the videos we release weekly on English grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, conversation skills, English learning skills, so many videos to help you with your English learning. That's everything for today's video. This is Hannah from Virtually Fluent, bringing English to life.